I mean myself. Praying, cause I can't redeem myself. Yeah, I would deserve it if he left me all alone. If I don't get a crown, I still kiss the throne. My happiness is short and my suffering is long. Sin's worthy of death, but I've been dodging stones. So it's time to make something out of nothing. It's time to make something out of nothing. It's time to be something cause I'm nothing. Yeah. What should be done in his will, then I make it urgent. Doing whatever I must to try to break the curses. Cause I fully understand that I'm undeserving. Gates of iniquity, I was sadly searching. First I was a poison, then I found my purpose. Started reading verses, I get nervous cause I'm not worthy. Blessed to know the most high before the age 30. Cause when you old, you get stuck in your ways. And then it's hard to change, you be the same until the grave. Rip the page out of the book that saved and made the paper plain. Now I'm up in the wind, dealing with my highs and lows. Under my rhyme book, that's why I hide my woes. Pray I live in grace if I don't survive my foes. Jacob seek a sign, I wait until he shows. The short time I made the best of being undeserving got me under pressure. I would deserve it if he left me all alone. If I don't get a crown, I still kiss the throne. My happiness is short and my suffering is long. Sin's worthy of death, but I've been dodging stones. So it's time to make something out of nothing. It's time to make something out of nothing. It's time to be something cause I'm nothing. Yeah. Look. Thoughts running through my head got me going crazy. So I'm meditating more than I have lately. That road to redemption is a one-way. Sabbath sun rays seem brighter than on Sunday. The law was done away with. That's what some say. The heaven and earth pass away, it's what the sun say. Only thing you deserve is some flames, boy. Start hitting targets once you practice on your aim, boy. We know it's going to get worse before it get better. Pray you don't remember our iniquities forever. You bring the cold weather and he supplying the sweaters. They took crafty counsels, but he made them clever. Me, I thank him for everything. The good, the bad, the everything. To the most high, I get everything. Cause he showed me things I ain't never seen. Deserve it if he left me all alone. If I don't get a crown, I still kiss the throne. I still kiss the throne. If I never get a crown,
I still kiss the throne. I'll still kiss the throne. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to another episode of YAH Conscience Radio, where if it's not conscious, it is not acceptable. I am Morris Shematal Yahoo, and I am joined with Chief Zebulon Ben Lewi Hadekia. And today is going to be an awesome show, man. Great conversation. Rashid, אני רוצה לתת כבוד ושבח יהוה אל עליון, אלוהי אברהם, יצחק, Yaakov. First, I want to give honor and praise to the Most High Power. He or it that causes to exist or be. Power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What's going on, Chief? How you doing?
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom. Everybody out there, shalom, more.
Right now, if you're trying to speak, not coming through.
Can you hear me now?
You might have to do what you did last time. There we go. He's going to come right back, you all. But the title is The Complaints and Removal of Leadership in the Modern Home. The complaints and removal today of leadership in the modern home. This should be an interesting topic. We have a couple posts that we want to actually speak on. A matter that was publicized as well. We want to kind of tie it in with the Torah, with the Tanakh, and kind of show you all what our thoughts are on it. Here we go. We got Chief right back.
Shalom, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Shalom.
Hallelujah. Can you hear me?
Again. I'm thanking you. Can you hear me? 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 see. Hold on
Moray,
one
can you
second.
hear me?
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead. Can you say something?
Can you hear me now?
Can. That probably was
Okay.
on my end.
Nah,
Forgive me, luckily that wasn't even your fault. That was my fault.
nah, it's all good. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom, everybody out there. Shalom to you, Moray.
Can. All right. Before we get started, I want to read something. Okay. So Proverbs 17:6. It says, children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. I'm gonna read that again. Children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. I wanted to preface with that. I wanted to start off with that. That is not to remove, of course, the women or the woman or the wife, but it is to push a narrative, a positive narrative, a sound narrative, one that shows through many cultures, through many instances, that it is leading towards more of a success. When you're dealing with family, so we got to make sure the fathers are involved. So again, the topic today is the complaints and removal of leadership in the modern home. Before we get started, Chief, what's your thoughts on this topic?
I mean, as far as the fathers or fathers being what, the head?
Okay, well, I mean, before I present the actual topics at hand or the text that we saw that people was posting and things like that, just the complaints in general of leadership within the home, and we know that we're pointing that towards the man, and then also the removal of the leadership in the modern home. So when you think of, in today's society, patriarchy, I guess you could say, is trying to be removed. It's trying to be, they're trying to make it a more, what they would say, balanced or equal or whatever lingo they want to use. But it's literally removing the leadership. It's removing that, making it equal, like it's no leaders present. So what's your thoughts on that, that side of the coin, and also the complaints of leadership in general, which we're going to be talking about as well? So it's two topics. One topic is speaking on the complaining about the fact that society still allows some type of recognition of fathers, which I'm equating that to leader. And then the next one is dealing with wanting to make it equal. Nobody is leading. What's your stance on that before we even get started?
Well, I'll start with the second part and work backwards. As far as the idea of not having no one is a leader in the household or whatever. I mean, this is not even a new concept. I mean, there was a I don't know how many people out there actually used to watch the old Honeymooners episodes on TV, but there was an episode, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was basically Ralph Cramden was getting interviewed by a newspaper guy outside of his job, and he was asking him, and asking a whole bunch of men, saying, in your household, who is the head? And of course, apparently Ralph was the only one who said he is the head of the household. The man is the head. And it was a long, of course, the comedy. It was a long comical situation. But what was interesting was that his wife, Alice, her response was very interesting. And keep in mind, this is the late 50s, early 60s. When she said, she was like, you need to know one thing. She was like, there never was, there isn't, and never will be a head in this household.
Wow.
And of course, Ralph was like, let me straighten you out about something. And then, and then it went on with the comedy. But what was interesting at that point, you already saw the second wave of feminism taking root. because now you had women who realized that pound for pound, they could not compete with a man to be the head of a household. Not pound for pound. They knew that. So they began to change the narrative. The narrative used to be, a woman can do what a man can do. I am woman, hear me roar. And okay, fine. Like other people have said, I'm not going to name them on camera, but other people have said, listen, you're entitled to believe what you want to believe. But when push came to shove, women found that they cannot do what a man does. And when they're held to the same standard as a man, they find themselves lacking. And that's fine, because if you put a man in a woman's position, he'll probably be lacking as well. But the narrative changed from let's fight against the man to find out who's going to be the head. And when they found out that they could not be the head, they changed the narrative, and the narrative became, well, there is no head. There is no leader in the house.
And I find that strange. As I said at one moment on a video that I actually posted, if anyone checked it out, that and I've been saying it for years.
Okay.
When it comes to the home, it's this friction that we create. It's this type of ideology that is created within, I would say, just the woman that wants to. I don't know. I think it's a combination of societal pressure, but that's another topic, and needing to lash out in some sense somewhere. I got to do it somewhere. I can't be following everywhere. I got to be the same as you are here. Now, this is not everywhere. This is not in every home, but it is something that's being spreaded widely. It's been spreaded widely for a long time. But going back to what I'm basically trying to say, I think it's strange that, in every organization, everything that they're a part of, they will accept the leadership. They will accept. Me and you was talking about followership last week. But when it comes to the home, that is the only place. And the thing is, leaders are everywhere. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. Leaders in everything you could think of. You can't name one thing. Well, I can't. Maybe the listeners can. Maybe somebody that's watching this, leave a comment. Let us know. Or Chief, maybe but I don't know one thing. One thing that's like some type of organization, and from the smallest to the largest. From what's known to what's not known, that it is not a leader, that everyone is equal. It is always a leader. So I find it strange that the one place that is the most important place that needs that leadership that builds a civilization is man and woman. I find it strange that we're pushing back and we are trying to paint this narrative or push this and condition people to think, oh, well, we don't want to do this. So I want to post something real quick. I'm about to share the situation that's going on with, and this is not the one I want to share. Hold on one second. Oh, yes, it is. Situation that took place with Dwayne Wade. Now, we know things been taking place with Dwayne Wade for a while now. I'm not going to get into those particular subjects, but Dwayne Wade spoke out and he said that he does not lead in his marriage with Gabrielle Union. I was going to share the video. I didn't share the video, and it was like it would have been a little more potent to see that video and to hear what he was saying and how he was saying it. And if you was looking at it, you would have saw how Gabrielle Union was looking at him too. I mean, she was like, okay, make sure he ain't gonna say, he better not say nothing wrong. You gotta check that video out, Chief, if you haven't seen it yet. But
I saw the clip.
Okay.
Of certain parts. When I get a chance, I'm definitely gonna look at the entire the entire video, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, like, I was watching another podcast that surprisingly, like I just spoke with you about, they were speaking on it. But of course you said like this is a hot topic, so a lot of people are talking about it. And one of the things they brought out, which was actually a good point, and I don't know the details fully. I know what he was fighting for his son or children or something in some past relationship. So it's like, the hardships that went on in your past relationship. I don't know what you did in it, but all I can do is think of myself. And I know when I was younger, in my younger relationships, I was, I knew things that should have been done and a direction where we're supposed to go, but I was trying to, pacify the situation, and that never worked out. And going throughout these years, I've been seeing a lot of relationships and marriages that don't work out, that has nothing to do with like infidelity and all the other stuff, anything that's crazy. A lot of times when they don't work out is because the man is not leading. That is not to say that the woman is not competent to understand the journey or the goal, but if it's nothing established as who is the leader, and everyone is just willy-nilly, then it's bound to fail. Or if it's established that I don't think a man should be a leader and we should be partners. But if I'm not mistaken, even in partnership, isn't it still a certain type of percentage depending upon? Well, no, let me take that back. I shot myself in the foot with that.
I can. I think what we're doing, and I'm not saying we, as in you and I necessarily, but I think anybody who is watching the video with Dwayne Wade and his master, whatever. No, I mean it is what it is. But anybody who's watching, I think once again, and we've covered this many times on former platforms, previous platforms, and that is we're trying to use logic in a situation that defies logic. Mm-hmm. But think about this, and I don't know if anybody else saw this particular viewpoint, and if they did, more power to them. But I one of the first things that I wanted to look at in this whole thing is I'm like, well, let's consider. I don't know. Let's take their age, and I think the age has a very important role. It plays a very important role in what's playing out in this situation. He is what? He's 36?
Yeah, he's something like that.
He's 36 years old, and she's 49. With that in mind, Aki, I mean, what? She's roughly 13 years older than him.
Hello? Chief, you still there? Chief, you still there? Well, with that being said, until he returns, I think he might be having some technical difficulties. Go ahead and go to the next song. I'm going to go ahead and play the next song and see if we can rectify that situation, because it was just about to get deep. Without further ado, let me go ahead and go to the next song. Go to the next song.
I will only worship you. I'm in need of your love.
It's just different.
Yeah. Got my miss rate. Memo with me. Let's vibe, I keep. Yeah, I thought I knew, but I had no idea. Always had a relationship with the Father, and I always held him near. But I was blind to the fact that when I was looking up, I should have been looking within the walls of this empty cup. Then I would have known that it was not empty at all. I was searching for greater heights, but I always referred to my fall. Not in a negative manner, but a more positive light. I had to wake up and cross over to the opposite side. I need it be Ko Kore Oti Beneya Ainli Lo Elohim Akerin Lifaneka Ashao I need your day I may etawe I need retro se o mese laki leko I won't be Oti Naya Plemasisha.
I got a joy I just can't hold in. Life's good, yeah, it's great. Seems like he heard me all those times I prayed. And the changes I've made are just to show you that I counted it on her just to know you, to know you, to know you. I counted it on her just to know you. My Elohim, my everything, yeah. I am honored to know you.
Opened up my mind and allowed me to see the Holy One of Israel. There is none like thee. When I awake in the morning with my very first breath, I'm thanking you for your Ruach HaKodesh. Maya, I've spent my whole life just longing to be true. And now, if you allow me, I will only worship you. I'm in need of your love, your mercy and favor. Yahuwah Sabaoth, my only savior. Abarka et Yahuwah, we call et Tamita Helato Befi. Elohim Bakodesh Ake Kabe El Gadok Elohim. Yahuwah Adonenu, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad, Yakai.
I got a joy I just can't hold in. Life's good, yeah, it's great. Seems like he heard me all those times I prayed. And the changes I've made are just to show you that I counted it on her just to know you, to know you, to know you. I counted it on her just to know you. My Elohim, my everything, yeah. I am honored to know
you.
You.
Instructed me set apart, cause set apart is what you are. Holy One of Israel, it ain't no place that is too far. For your outstretched hand to swoop us up like a fishing net and gather us out of this land. Take us to a place in which we possess a land that was given, then taken for disobeying. Only way to change that is to do the opposite, I'm saying. Circumcise our minds and circumcise the minds of our seed. To love our Elohim so we might L-I-V-E. Cold odd, Nashubla Elohe Abotenu, Yeslanu, Le Ehob et Habore Im Chayenu, Yahuwahu Sorenu, Yahudo, Yagedo, Nika Moka, Enka Moka, Ya Amerita Ain Old.
I got a joy I just can't hold in. Life's good, yeah, it's great. Seems like he heard me all those times I prayed. And the changes I've made are just to show you that I counted it on her just to know you, to know you, to know you. I counted it on her just to know you. My Elohim, my everything, yeah. I am honored to know you.
All praises. That was To Know You by Ethan featuring Memo from Yehudi Gang. So we still having some technical difficulties right now, but I'm gonna keep it going. We got to keep the show going. Just to continue talking on the situation. When we think of, here's the thing. I don't know if it's a misconception. I don't know if it's people that are, afraid of allowing someone to have the say so on certain things, to have the final say on certain things. But that's just how it is in life. When you're dealing with any business, when you're dealing with any organization, like I said, um, when you're dealing with sports, it's always a leader. Tribes is always a leader. That's just how it is. Now, your skill set, you might know, like say, if I was married and, had a wife or, she might know something more than I know in a particular situation. Yes, she could take lead in that. That's just only right. A man that does not know to allow someone that is more equipped than they are in a situation and take a relationship out of the mix, eldership, anything, any type of community or organization. If a leader is trying to take charge on every aspect of everything and doesn't allow those that might be more skilled or more has a history of know-how or doing more than he does or she does, that's an issue. That's not a true leader. That's not a true leader. When I heard the part or the portion that I did hear Dwayne Wade say, I understood one part of what he was saying, and that was, people come in relationships trying to change the other person. That's something that I do agree that we should stay away from. You shouldn't try to change the other person. Before you make that move to be with this person, you should already have a sense of understanding of what direction that they are going in, and does it fit the journey that you're already a part of? If they're already a part of that journey that you are, that you've been going down, then there's no need to change them. All you're going to do is add to what they already know. You're going to equip them a little better if you're trying to, strengthen them or encourage them in whatever subject it might be. But you're not changing them. That part I agree with. But the part was saying there is no leaders in our relationship. Hey, do whatever you feel that you want to do. That's fine. But I don't think that is logical, nor is that something that is universal. That is something that we are trying to make a standard, and we're seeing what is the outcome of that. We're seeing the outcome of making that or standardizing that is this right here. A lot of failures in relationships. A lot of failures. We're seeing that. We're seeing that by, hey, I got just as much power as you do in this. I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it. So why are you in this? Why are you in this? A man is naturally someone that is leading. A man naturally does that. Shalom, Chief, you there?
Yeah, Shalom. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. I was just finishing up on saying there's one little part, but go ahead. I'll let you jump in and regather your thoughts on what you were speaking of before you left.
No. Finish up. I'll come back in.
No, I was just saying the man is naturally that leader that is over a body. It's not to say that a woman can't lead within the body. Like I was saying when you wasn't here, Chief, that you might have a wife that knows more than you know in a particular subject. Are you going to try to take leadership of that particular subject? No. You might guide it, but that's her realm. That's her space. That stuff is adding to your body, to the home. But you're still the leader. In any organization, they hire individuals to do portions of the job that they do not specialize in, but they have a little knowledge on it. They might not specialize in it, but they have a little knowledge. They know that you're going to be the one that produce the outcome for the success of this company or organization. But I'm just the leader to oversee it. The best example that I can use, or one of the best examples when you think of the scriptures, is when you had Pharaoh, even though, when you had Pharaoh and you had Yosef. Yosef ran that Mitzrayim, or Egypt. The only thing that made him or Pharaoh higher was his position. So this is not I don't know what this narrative that's being, well, I do know, but this narrative that's being painted and this ideology that's been pushed on people in regards to relationships and leadership and being equal, being partners, but there are no leaders, is detrimental for our community, and we see it from the outcome on a large scale. When they don't have that understanding as to, hey, he's the leader, he's the husband, he's the leader, but, I'm stronger in this particular subject. So I know he's going to really take counsel on what I'm saying on this because this is my realm. So, oh man, he done fell off again. All right, so let's what I want to do is I don't want to play another song just yet, and I don't want to go into the next topic. I don't know what's going on, but but to further go on, I mean, when you think of families that you might know. Think of your family members. Think of, I don't know if you're woman dominant in your family or if it's women, dominant in the family. And then think of the marriage. Are a lot of them married? Are most of them married? If they're not, ask them, why aren't you married? Pick their brains, don't attack them. Don't attack them. I mean, I know we want to get to the core. We don't want to beat around the bush, but it is a certain way you can approach them. But ask them to be real about it. Did they see themselves as following this person that they was with? Hold on 1 second. Oh, wow. Where he's living at right now, there's some outages taking place. So that's what's going on his side. All right. So we're going to keep it moving. It's something to think about, though. Think about that particular think about that right there. It has to be a reason. It has to be a reason. It's always a core reason as to why so many individuals, so many women, I should say, are single. There's a lot of men that's single too. But looking at the large sum of both men and women being single in that regards in your family that might not be married, ask both of them why they're not married. Most of them want to be married. Why aren't they married? If you ask both of them, you're going to get a common denominator in that. And I guarantee you, most of the things or the main thing that's a common denominator is the leadership part. Men feeling that they're not able to lead, or women not wanting them to lead. They won't say that, but they'll probably say that he, wasn't capable of it, or he wasn't equipped in this department, or it would just be a whole chicken egg type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that is the major issue right there. The major issue is we're forgetting that marriage is not just about love. Marriage is about, it is a organization. And what I'm saying with that, it needs to be organized. It needs to be structured from a standpoint of knowing our roles. And I believe that, when you think of Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, their dynamic, based upon what he was saying, I think is more so geared upon maybe an age factor. And also, I mean, when you think of Gabrielle and all her movies, man, she had that look. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I wonder if that's how it is in their actual relationship, man. And I'm not trying to put it on Gabrielle, but I think that Dwayne Wade needs to step it up. But see, I can't really speak on their problem. They got rich problem issues anyway. You can't really put yourself in that class, but you can, because it's, despite the money, it always boils down to leadership. It always boils down to leadership. And I believe that if the man is not leading it properly, that this family is the overall outcome of the family is based upon the man. I'll give you one last example. Before we go to the next song. And I think it's pretty interesting that our women, for the most part, are afraid of that terminology, that leadership or leader, or, I'm not following the man or this and that. But when it comes down to life and death, that man is going to be the one putting his life on the line for you. That man, let me say that again. Well, he should anyway, is normally going to be putting his life on the line for you and the rest of the family. That right there, outside of the other things that I could mention, but that right there is one of the main reasons that the man should, or not even man should, it should be a leader, I should say, because he said there is no leaders in our relationship. That right there is the one thing. If you can't agree with me on anything else, that should make that man or should establish a leadership role in the family. That right there. That one thing. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the next song. The first song was by John Boy, if I didn't mention it before. The second song that I played was by Ethan, featuring Memo, To Know You, Yehudi Gang, shout out. And this third song that I'm going to play is by JC, and it's called Walk in the Light. Now, before I play it, I do want to say again that, the songs that I'm playing is to promote those artists within our community, despite the differences in ideology or theology, I should say, because everyone's not on the same page as far as belief, but we are on the same page as far as the center, Torah being the center. So, we need to support our people, and that's what I'm doing, even if I don't have the same exact belief. But I'm digging the songs, something within the messages still resonates with me, resonates with how I believe that we should look at life. And without further ado, let's go.
And he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to reserve the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light."
Mubs got beats. I'm walking the light. I've been in darkness for a minute. I see the light and now I gotta get it. I know the word and now I gotta live it. I sit and pray with making my decisions. I don't want it, the most I ain't with it. I'm in the truth, no I don't do religion. Don't with the lies, they alter my vision. I must apologize to all the women. I was a sinner in love with the sinning. All my intentions was only the game. I had my feelings locked up, I admit it. I said it was love, but I never could feel it. Dealing with evil, I never committed. Never did I see myself in the Bible. Back in the day, no, I never was in it. I prayed to a higher, Yeshaya the way. We matched the curses, we were in chains. fame. They say we worthless, don't know a thing. We are the chosen children of slaves. Look at my people, they hung in the field under the trees. It wasn't for shade, slaving to live. It wasn't for pay. Look at death in the eye with a gun in my face. I'm walking the light. I'ma just walk in the light. Losing friends is a part of the price. So done with the rock in my life. I'ma walk in the light. I'ma just walk in the light. Losing friends is a part of the price. So done with the rock in my life. I'ma walk in the light. Light. I'ma just walk in the light. Light. I'ma just walk in the light. Light. I'ma just walk in the light. I'ma just walk in the light. Yeah. I've been in darkness for a minute, couldn't acknowledge sin when I was in it. All of the partying with other women, I had to find a way without religion. We was the chosen name from the beginning, treated the same as then and nothing different. The people were brought on ships and it was written and we the descendants. Yeah, no more deceiving people with the pictures. The curses they fit us, all the affliction. We are the people mentioned in the scriptures. They tried to hide it, kept us divided, forced to believe who we knew not to trust. Awaken and walk in the light is a must. The Most High is pulling us out of the dust. Walk in the light. I'ma just walk in the light. Losing friends is a part of the price. So done with the wrong in my life. I'ma walk in the light. I'ma just walk in the light. Losing friends is a part of the price. So done with the wrong in my life. I'ma walk in the light. Light. I'ma just 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 walk in the light. I'ma just walk in the light.
Yeah, that was "Walking the Light" by JC. Yeah, battle rapper. From what I heard, awesome tracks, man. Good artist. Like I said, man, might not have the same beliefs, but gotta support the Hebrew artists, man, out there. Chief, you back? Let's see if he's back. Man, today is just a weird day. Chief, you there?
Hey, can you hear me, Aki?
Can. I can hear you.
Yeah, exactly. They're having roaming blackouts in this area. So my internet was going in and out, and then the power is starting to flick. Other houses in the area, they don't even have power. I'm looking over, and it's like blackout. I don't know how long this is going to be.
Hey, I mean, you're here, so I appreciate you coming back, and trying to make it work. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you have anything else to say on the first topic, get as much as as I can, pause before before it takes place again,
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, I mean, obviously, you hammered it as much as it could be hammered, but my thing is that I'm not really surprised at all at Dwayne Wade's position. Again, and like I said, the age issue is key because she's 13 years older than him.
Crazy.
I believe he's 36, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's 36. He's definitely in his 30s. So you're talking about a woman who is more than a decade his senior, and so he probably sees her almost as a mother figure anyway. And it's very difficult. First of all, it's very difficult to establish any type of leadership as a man dealing with any so-called black woman. I mean, that's there's work involved in that. And it's definitely a difficult situation when the woman is significantly your senior.
Let's talk on that a little bit. Why do you say it's that already difficult for to try to establish leadership in the home with a so-called black woman from your point of view?
Right. I mean, and it's not. And listen, and this is and I'm making a distinction here between so-called black women and Hebrew women. I have to make that distinction because, generally speaking, Hebrew women don't necessarily have this issue. At least not on the level of African American or urbanite women. So when I say black women, I want to be very clear that I'm referring to I'm referring to our women that are outside of the covenant who are operating within the parameters of this world. there's always going to be a difficulty in establishing leadership because, or as a man taking leadership in a home, because there's always been an incentive for the woman to be the head of the household. I mean, many people have already spoken about this issue concerning, in the 1960s and 70s with the welfare system and how there's an incentive for the man not to be in the household. This is the reason why when you hear women talk about single parenthood and stuff like that, you really understand it. In those days, they weren't exactly against being single mothers in that sense, because monetarily, very often they actually fared better being a single mother than they were with the man in the house, because the man in the house is only making X amount of money. So there's an incentive on her end, because if she's struggling, if the woman is struggling, what does she get? She gets WIC. She gets Section 8 apartment housing. She gets public assistance. She gets all of these benefits for her being a single parent. Whereas if the situation was reversed, the man does not get those benefits. So there's always been an incentive for women to be the head of the household, and the men just simply being a passive participant in the house. So when I look at these things, and especially coming from a house when I was growing up, a household where my father wasn't there, and my mother was the quote unquote the head, you know what I'm saying? It's very difficult to have women who are already operating from a platform of being a head. They can't accept someone coming in that's going to challenge that headship, especially since they've been doing it and have been compensated for it for the past 30, 40 years.
Okay.
So imagine you are on a basketball team where you're that guy. You're that dude. As a matter of fact, we'll take Dwayne Wade. When the Miami Heat was his team, he was that guy.
Yep.
Until LeBron came along.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you've been operating as that guy for year after year after year after year, and everything is on you, you're that dude, and then someone comes along and has eclipsed you, at least in a popular perspective, he has eclipsed you. That's a hard pill to swallow, because if this is your team and someone comes along and says, yeah, I'm going to be leading this team now, that's a problem. Fortunately, he was able to kind of deal with the situation, and probably because he got the ring out of it. It was a couple rings, so that kind of may have made it a little bit better. But if he did not win, or he did not get anything from that situation, there would have been a problem. Nobody likes their position.
Let me jump in real quick, if you allow me, Chief. What I was going to say was interesting about that situation is this, and I don't know if you know about the situation or not, and if you do, let me know. What's interesting about that, and I don't know if it's meant, what, from my perspective and my experience, I believe men are better at doing that. Even though people might disagree with me and say, well, men, they fight for that position. Yes. But when they understand that they're not capable of having that position any longer, they will back down. What do I mean? When LeBron James came,
yes,
when they was losing, which they should have probably won that first year anyway, they were still trying to figure each other out. But the problem was you had Dwayne Wade, which is not even arguably, I was about to say arguably, but not even arguably, one of the best shooting guards of all time, period. By stat standards and just by fan standards, he is one of the best shooting guards of all time. And then you have LeBron at that point was established himself to be one of the greats too. Dwayne Wade has came out and said that if he didn't step up and say, hey, I know this was my team, and I'm using this as an example. He was like, he said that he came to LeBron. He said, look, I know this was my team before you came, but you that guy. This your team now.
Right.
but he did the opposite of what you're saying. He did. And what I'm saying is, for those listening might not understand what I'm saying on that part, Chief Zeb is letting us know that it's hard for women that has been doing it that long to relinquish that. I'm showing that Dwayne Wade did relinquish that, even though he knew that was his team. Even when LeBron was there, he still was a really great player. He still could have kept it, but he wasn't stubborn enough to be like, you know what? No, I'm still, this is still my team. This is still, I don't care. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and take back the floor, but I wanted to bring that context in that even he was able to do that. And I think that's a problem when, and that goes back to what I was saying before you came back in. And I'm glad you brought this point out too. The men or the women that has been on their own for a while, even if they're supposed to be able to flip that switch, just like they're able to flip the switch when they're able to talk to their supervisor, when they're able to talk to a judge, a police officer, all of the above. They flip that switch and understand that someone is over you.
Right.
But you can't flip the switch when this man comes in. Now, again, this is not every woman. I want to make sure I say that. I understand Chief knows that as well. Even the so-called black women. I mean, I do know it's an exception to the rule, but we're talking about on a large scale, and stats don't lie. That is hard for the so-called black women to do what he's bringing out. So I'm gonna let you continue. I just wanted to throw that context in there with Dwayne Wade, and I thought that's pretty interesting how he relinquished it, even being that man on the team.
Right. And even with Dwayne Wade, he is kind of a rare situation, because we can look at other team situations and it did not go well.
Okay.
But it's
Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. But the point of me bringing that up is that it's difficult even for men to do that. How much more it is for women to do it, because we know this, and I don't have to, and this is not even a female bashing statement, but let's be very clear. Many women will even admit this. Women generally operate in emotions primarily and intellect secondly, meaning they operate emotionally. When a situation occurs, they move in their feelings first, and then they'll think about it after the fact. Men are a little bit more, intellect first. Like, okay, let me think this out. Let me sit here, rationalize the situation. I've even heard people say that men have a tendency to overthink.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what we do. And the only time men are in their feelings is when they're accosted or they're attacked on something. Then they might get in their feelings, but generally they operate in intellect primarily. And this is not a slight at women, just saying that they do. And you have women who acknowledge this fact. But my point, of course, is saying that if you're a woman and you have been running the show in your household for X amount of time, whatever, and then here comes the father or whatever like that saying, yo, listen, I'm gonna, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about passing the baton and all the submission stuff. But like you said, and we've said this many times before, is that this principle only applies in the household. It never applies in the workforce.
That's right.
It doesn't apply. I mean, think about it. It doesn't apply in the workforce. It doesn't apply in entertainment. And I always use the example of like the record label where you have
make this up.
Yeah, right. I mean, we have a situation where I use the example of the record label. In record labels, you have the CEO, and then you have the COO, and then you have all the other officers. Now, if a woman comes into a record label and she's applying, for a position there, and the CEO says, "Hey, listen, I have a position here of COO that I think that you would be a good fit. You would answer to me. You would run all of the everyday goings and comings of the label. I'm overseeing everything. I'm executive officer. You are my second in command. I am your boss."
That's right.
No woman is going to stop and say, excuse me, you're not my boss. I don't need this position. No. I'm my own boss. No, they're going to stop and say, no problem, sir.
That's right.
No problem, sir. When do I start? And there's no problem with that. And so even in a corporate setting, you understand that being a COO doesn't mean that you are worthless. It only means that there are checks and balances. And in this company, there has to be a chief executive officer.
That's right.
If the chief executive officer is making, let's say, $200,000 a year, and the chief operating or the COO is making $100,000, are we going to sit here and say that the chief executive officer has there's no value in it? She's broke. She's not making any money. No, it just means that she's on the level that she's at, but she runs the everyday functionality of the label of the corporation.
And what's crazy is, and this is perfect what you're bringing out. Actually amazing in my opinion. You know, I'll let the listeners, when they check this out, they'll be the judge. When you think of companies, they don't just appoint a CEO just to appoint a CEO. You got to be qualified. This is going to go into our next topic. Qualified to be a CEO, right? Now here's the thing. I said qualified. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, I hear you. I was just like, wow, qualified. That's a very interesting term.
Kane, qualified. And to break down what I'm trying to say is, you know, and this is going to lead into our next topic, in my opinion. A man is supposed to be the leader. That's just me. I don't care what no one says. I've seen a lot of people fail for the simple fact that they wasn't that. But sometimes men are not ready at whatever stage they are. So it's the woman's job to make sure they pick one that is qualified. Now, you pick one that's not qualified. This is not to remove the fact that he's still the head. You just picked the bad leader. Let me say that again. If you pick one that's not qualified, when you know you should have picked the qualified one, because the company gonna make sure they pick one that's qualified. And then if the person is not qualified, has not been producing, and I'm not saying do this on no marriage stuff or husband, wife, or nothing like that, but they normally let them go because they realize they wasn't qualified. But you know what I could use with that is that portion or that time that they let them go is courtship.
Bingo.
When they realize this person was not, and you see that all the time in the league, they'll give him a 6-month contract, a 3-month contract, like they did not P. Diddy, a Master P or something. They gave him like a 3-month, have just a certain period to see. If you're not sure, court him. And I will say this, I'm going somewhere else with this, just because the courtship might not work, it means that leader was not for you. It doesn't take away that he is still a leader or the head in whatever else or what in whatever other organization. I'm being a woman. I mean, another woman that they end up being with. That is still his role. So I want to go back to the qualified part. The qualified part is very important. I want you all to really pay attention to that. A lot of times we're not picking people who are qualified. And then you start doing and saying things like what I'm about to present after I play this song. Chief, before I play this song, did you have anything else to say about this particular topic? I'm going to play the song and we're going to go into the next topic.
Okay.
Which is going into what I'm speaking of now. You all good?
Okay, yeah. Nah, all is well.
All right.
Keep it pushing.
Well, let's keep it pushing, man. I'm glad everything working out over there on your end. I know the flow kind of, shifted a little bit, but we back on track. So we're going to go to the next song. The next song is by an artist by the name of The Real Music. And the song is called To the Side, man. One of my favorite songs, man. It's also one of my favorite Hebrew artists, man. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all enjoy him too. And without further ado, Here we go.
I just like the sound.
Realizing that our problem in America, that we are Black Americans, and we have a problem.
Yehudi Gang.
We formed a group known as the Organization
Shout
of
out.
Afro-American Unity. And the objective of this organization is non-religious, number one. Any Negro can belong to it. And the objective of that organization is to bring about a condition that will guarantee respect and recognition of the 22 million Black Americans as human beings.
Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side. Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side. Right hand on the Bible, I'm about to testify. Nothing but the truth, man, I ain't about to lie. Tell my people say they sell, no, they ain't about to try. Cause they too busy waiting for a man to crack the sky. I don't understand, is you playing or is you high? If you ain't got a plan, then you playing in the die. Sitting on your hands while the chance pass by. You need to come and stand with a stand-up guy. Cause I'm about my business. And if it ain't real, I ain't with it.
I just like the sound.
Yeah, I get it how I live it. So if you ain't gon' keep it real, then keep your distance. Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side. Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side. I think I'm anti-Christian, but that really ain't the case. I'm giving you the real, but you feeling like it's hate. I don't really care about your religion or your faith. If it ain't making a difference, then what difference do it make? Get about your feelings, I ain't tripping with you dates. All that going back and forth, I ain't fitting to the bait. Ain't no beating around the bush, I'ma give it to you straight. If you ain't about that push, then get up out my face. Cause I'm about my business. And if it ain't real, I ain't with it.
I just like the sound.
Yeah, I get it how I live it. So if you ain't gon' keep it real, then keep your distance. Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side. Our religiousness to the side. Let's put our differences to the side. Let's talk about how we gon' ride. If you ain't down with the mood, you need to move to the side.
I just like the sound.
Yeah. Shout out to the real music. To the side from Yehudi Gang. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the next topic. Or the next, tweet. It was a Twitter post. And man, this stuff crazy, bro. I'm just gonna let it sit here for a minute and let y'all see it. Cause I just, man, you can't make it up, y'all. You can't.
You cannot make this up.
Just can't make it up. All right, so this tweet says, should Father's Day be banned because it's disrespectful to single mothers and same-sex couples? Man, they already cut themselves right there. I think you brought it out when we was talking about this, Chief. But let me read what the person who shared the topic.
Right.
Father's Day is so offensive to same-sex parents.
Oh, hell no.
Father's Day is so offensive to same-sex parents and single mothers. Stop the patriarchy and ban Father's Day. Yes, all women, feminism. All right. So before I want to preface that, I don't really do, the holidays of the lands anyway. I believe that Father's Day and Mother's Day should be throughout the whole year. One of the commandments says, honor thy father and thy mother. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. That's one of the commandments, right?
No, that's right, exact.
All right, so I look at it in that realm a little more than, but in regards to this topic, because even though it is specifically talking about a date, it still paints a certain picture as to the mind state in this particular subject. It paints a picture. And for those that say, no, well, I don't believe in that, I see a lot of people. If you have ever said Happy Father's Day to myself, then you're one of these people too. I'm just being honest. I mean, am I wrong, Chief?
Not at all.
All right, so I'm gonna let you lead off. So we got this post that she shared, and then she put her little 1 cent in there, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I would love to see your take or hear your take on it, and I'll come right behind you, pause, or kind of go through it with you. You know what I'm saying? Well, go ahead, Chief.
No, I mean, the funny thing, when I first saw that, when I first saw that tweet, I think it's a tweet, whatever that that picture, whatever, and I'm reading what she's saying, and I'm like, well, okay, listen, I get it, I get why single mothers, take that position. I get that, but we'll deal with that in a second. The issue of same-sex couples, I don't even know why that's even an issue. Like, I don't even think same-sex couples are even making that an issue. Why? Because listen, I'm not part of that lifestyle, but if you watch how they move and just some of their own narrative in their relationships, there's an understanding that one of them is the mommy.
You cannot make
one of them.
Up.
One of them, I mean, because you have the masculine one and you have the feminine one. So it's obviously an understanding amongst them that, okay, I'm the daddy here, and you are the mommy. Okay. There's an understanding, even amongst lesbians. There's an understanding that the bull dagger is the daddy.
That's right.
And the femme is the mother. So same-sex couples are not even gonna make that argument. They're gonna be like, wait a minute, my partner is a daddy. We have a child, and he is the daddy. You see what I'm saying? Like they're not the ones making this argument. Right. I think single mothers are trying to drag the homosexual community into it in order to build up numbers, to make their point a little bit more substantial. But again, they don't have the homosexual community doesn't have that problem, because they're in their confusion. They still acknowledge that one of them is the man and the other is the female. That's you see right. What I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even in their own confusion, they understand that principle. So it's the single mothers, and not just single mothers generally. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a very selfish group of single mothers who don't feel it's enough to be showered with love and affection and all of these kudos for everything that they've done for their child, so on and so forth. All throughout the year, they have to get another day.
Yeah, and what's crazy is what I want to know is how. And okay, I know what she's trying to do. Maybe I guess she's a single mother, right? And because it's understood as to why you see women that say it on Father's Day. Oh, Happy Father's Day to me. I get the sentiment. I guess. But how is it offensive to still have Father's Day? You know what's offensive in this statement, in this post, in this tweet? What's offensive is the simple fact. What's offensive is the simple fact that she wants it to be removed. What about the good fathers?
There are no good fathers. What are you talking about?
What about those fathers that's still in a relationship with the mother of their child and doing good? What about the ones that are married? This is the dumbest statement, one of the dumbest statements I ever seen in my life. And I stand firm on this. And any true woman and true man, of course, should feel the same way. I mean, she literally said, Father's Day is so offensive. I didn't even go say that to same-sex parents part, but to single mothers. How is it offensive when there are great fathers out there that are still with the mother of their child or children, that are married to the mother of their child or their children? This goes into being entitled. We talked about this last week in the topic about the followership. Toxic followership.
Okay. Toxic spouseship.
And man, wow. Whew.
No, I mean, think about it like this. If she's suggesting that Father's Day, because I've had this conversation with someone before with a female.
Said this too?
No, they didn't say this, but I've had a conversation with a female a few years ago, and the issue was, and the question was about, why Mother's Day, gets more coverage, more mainstream coverage than Father's Day. And I gave the example of think about it. On Mother's Day, what are mothers required to receive on Mother's Day? You see mothers getting jewelry. You know what I'm saying? They might get a car. They might get all manner of things. It's never enough. There's never enough stuff to shower the mother with on Mother's Day. But when it comes to a Father's Day, get them a tie. Get them a wallet. Get him something insignificant, but still enough to say, hey, it was the thought that counts. And so the conversation was based on that. And this woman was like, well, I don't think that men should be getting all of these kudos and getting all of this stuff, all of this acknowledgement and recognition for things that they're just supposed to do as a man. What man walks around and wants to be patted on the back for things that they're supposed to do? And I said, yo, you're absolutely correct. You should not get a pat on the back for things that you're supposed to do. And that includes women.
Boom.
You are a mother. You should not get, you are a mother. You're not supposed to get pats on the back and cars and jewelry and all of these different things. Why? Because you fed your children? Because you didn't abort them? Or you didn't flush them down the toilet, or go to a clinic and get rid of them like you did the other one. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you find when you have these conversations with some of these women, you realize, yes, it is an entitlement, because the very reason that they don't want to push Father's Day is the same reason that they're trying to hold on to Mother's Day. You want credit for something that you are supposed to do anyway. So if that's the case, if you're saying that men should not expect anything for Father's Day, or should not have Father's Day because they're not supposed to receive any type of benefits for something that they're supposed to do naturally, then you know what? You're absolutely correct. Let's remove fatherhood. Let's get it all Father's Day. Let's remove that out of the canon of holidays in the calendar, whatever. Let's get rid of all of that. You're right. Absolutely. No father should have a Father's Day celebration, but every single mother should shut their mouth and have no Mother's Day either, because you want kudos for something that you were created to do. You were created to give birth to children and to raise them. That is your biological purpose. So why do you want kudos? Why do you want pats on the back? And this is when the conversation dies. Yep. Because now they have to make the decision. Do I continue with the narrative of shutting down Father's Day and all of this stuff because of that? But if I do that, then I have to shut down Mother's Day for the same exact reason. Or you could just simply stay with motherhood, Mother's Day, and let the man or the father get his one little shine out of the whole year, because you got the rest of the year, because it's Mother's Day every day for the woman. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is what, and so I think this is where the problem comes in, is that it is a sense of entitlement. They feel, many of these women, they feel entitled because they feel, well, I raised this child by myself. So why is the father getting any kind of honor or whatever the case? What do you think about that point?
I want to jump in right there. And this is how I feel about it. I remember, and I never talk bad about my children's mom.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, as long as I knew you for these amount of years, I could count on one hand, really. If I'm not, you could, correct me on national. I said, now I'm about to say national TV. On national YouTube, how many times I have I done it? I could count on probably one hand. And it was due to very intense situations. And, one of the things that I say, and I'm not trying to tell other men to say this, but this is what I will say that shuts the whole conversation down. If you have that issue that Chief just brought out, give me my children.
Bingo.
Because I don't have that choice to have them from birth. If it was flipped, and the government, and this goes back to what you're saying, I don't care what nobody says, because I know it's people that have a difference of opinion when it comes to this. This stuff is strategic. Okay, it is 2021, and we could stop and prevent a lot of these things now. We can. But from the beginning, it was a core conditioning involved, a core systemic implementation for our community and those outside too. I'm not gonna just say it was just us, but we was, the face of it. Give me my children. If y'all look at some of y'all state, when the child is born, they have you all sign these agreements of the birth certificate and all that stuff. Y'all so happy and all that, so you're not paying attention to what you're signing. On the back of the form in Illinois, anyway, it says that the father has no rights, has to go to the judge and to ask for rights, his own unalienable and inalienable rights that he's supposed to have as a father anyway. Right. He has to ask to get permission to see his child if he's not married. Now, I do like the system in regards to this part right here. This is kind of pushing for you all to be married, because if you was married, that wouldn't be the case all the way, but it still kind of is. But let me stay on topic. So in that paper, it tells you that you have no rights. It's a third one. It's 5 sentences. The third sentence, I know for a fact because I started learning the real law. The third one literally tells you that you have no rights, that you have to do the child support and support. It's 2 separate supports, but I ain't gonna get into all that. I'm not, because, might have some people have a problem with what I'm saying. But that is from the get-go if you're not married by law. That is from the get-go. So a lot of the people that's complaining and saying, well, I do. Have you ever asked the man if he would have did? If he would have took him? Oh, you couldn't. I know you couldn't. You don't know. I know plenty of men that has custody of their children. Plenty. And they're doing an excellent job. And guess what? Some of them didn't even take the mother for child support.
Yeah, basically.
So it's to answer your question, Chief, what do I have to say as far as that? I will say that, if that's an issue, give the child to the father, the ones that want to take them anyway. I know I would.
Right.
And I think that is the issue. I think that we, and I'm about to bring it back full circle and kind of, because I don't want to make it seem like, I'm attacking the women, because that's not what I'm trying to do. My ministry is community, man and woman to come together. That's both of ours. But we have to point out certain situations in order to get it back to that, and to stop all of this that we're talking about right now, to stop this nonsense and what she's saying right there, is to go back to the core. If you have that issue, understand why you have that issue. A couple reasons. You didn't pick who qualified. That's one. Two, we're in a systemic, or this system, I should say, has made it to where the child goes directly to you. That is a fact. Now, there's exceptions to the rules, to what the child won't. But for the most part, that is what happens, man. I'm not in my head. I'm not one of these people that's extreme and all this. If we look across the United States, that is normally what happens, unless you got married. You was married already. If you was married, then it's a different ballpark. But that points back to why you should go for marriage first. So I can guarantee you, and I'm not going to, this last thing to say, I can guarantee, well, I can't guarantee because I don't know this woman, but most have not started with marriage and they end up in this situation. Marriage could still fail, but that's another topic in itself. So with that, I yield. I want to go to the next song. Do you have anything to say before we go to the next song and go more on this topic?
Let it rock. Let the song rock.
Let it rock, man. Let it rock. All right, so this next song is No Pressure. And it is by Maccabee, Ben Yisrael, and Ethan. So let's get to it. No pressure.
They don't want to see me make it. They just want to see me hate it. I ain't folding, I ain't breaking. No pressure. You ain't no pressure to me. No pressure. You ain't no pressure to me. No pressure. You ain't no pressure to me. You ain't no pressure to me.
Weight on my shoulders, back against the wall. I gotta show my sons the way that they should walk and make a way. I gotta make a way. I keep the healing and they know it's safe to stay. Pray for me, pray for me. Somebody pray for me. I chose my walk, I'm gonna stick to it faithfully. Bossing up, they say I've been bossing, saucing up. I've been down too long, and just ain't the way for me. Switch it up, switch it up. I had to switch up an opportunity. They call me and I pick up. I fell down so many times I had to get up. Regardless of how tough it get, I won't give up. I went searching for the light. I got lit up, I'm on top of Mount Sinai. With my chin up, I'm learning how to fly. I had to get rid of the talkers. I'm with the walkers in the sprinter. No pressure to me, no resting for me. I'm being me, who you destined to be. I woke up, yeah, that's a blessing to me. If I take a loss, that's a lesson to me. Progression, I keep up guessing. I've been on go in a recession. I've been 100 since an adolescent. My son is my inside the present. I ain't about the present. I'm going back to the east. What's a holiday? Going back to the feast. It's a cold war. I'm going back to the heat. If I go to war, I'm coming back with peace. Silverback going be straight up gorilla mode. You couldn't stop me when I was not in my zone. You can't break me like I made of silicone. Walking on water, boy, you cannot swim alone. Need floats to sit up on. I'm on another level. You can't stop me, my foot stay up on the pedal. When Yahweh made me, boy, he made me special. Adding faith with the work or made me successful. Nigga, take a look. When I'm willing to sacrifice, ain't no measure. Got my guard up for devils, cause they gon' test you. I've been feeling the pain, now I feel the pressure. Got into it with a higher power, no pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. You ain't no pressure to me.
No pressure. Us men, we gotta operate in this. Don't let no pressure cause us to shift.
Yeah. Full flow, no deal. I'm in motion like Cain. Look at me. It took me a while, had to look and see all the brighter days right in front of me. The picture's more clearer, don't hand me no mirror. I look through the glasses, my vision is purer in HD. I search for the truth and you hate me? That's so fake, G. I need better there. Shalom, Leka, Ali Loro, said that they can shine. Beata Aki, Anakum, Miss Paka, we Akim Bashim, Shel Abraham. They want us divided, we stay at each other, but we say we building a nation. But where is the building? Cause everyone's waiting, no initiative, just procrastination. The government want me to be in rotation, but I can't clock in cause I ain't got the patience. My time is too precious to waste on plantations. I depend on Yahuwah, that's my salvation. Elevation come with meditation, hella dedication. Torah, that's my destination. Have to change my mind, reset my calibration. Check my calculations, yeah, it's looking gravy. I don't see through the eyes of the victimized. I really concur, that's by who you despise. Let's focus on crashing the system, repairing the minds of our people, no compromise. In the fast lane, with my foot on the pedal, I'm mashing gas. They think that they the first and say we the last. When I breeze past, ain't no need to laugh. You can't apply no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. You ain't no pressure to me.
And what I love about this song, man, they going in about how men should build and operate, come together as a community. That's right. What they going in. Yeah. So I want to read something. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully I'm loud enough over the music. I'm gonna let it fade out a little bit. That's all we talking about, y'all. No pressure. All right, so we have Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25, or some would say Sirach. In three things, verse 1, chapter 25. In three things I was beautified. Let me say that again. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before God and men. The unity of brethren. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, that's that community, a man and a wife that agree together. Let me read that one more time. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful before both before God and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. A lot of these people that we're seeing, this tweet that we're seeing right here, the issue is we did not pick or end up with, because we did not choose who was qualified, nor did we have a period of what we call courtship in our community to see if we agreed. You had to agree before you go forward. A lot of times we fail because we did not agree. When we think of our mothers and our fathers, those that had their fathers and mothers in their homes for 30 years, 40 years, they had an agreement before they went forward. I've spoken to a lot of them. When I say a lot, I'm not talking about 100, but I've spoken to quite a few. And that was the key thing, was that agreement more than anything. You know, in our culture, we call it covenant.
Yep.
You know, and we was afraid to break. The ones that, you know, truly adored the covenant and the setup, they fought to the extreme not to break it. And those are when we think of our grandparents or our mothers and fathers that has 30 plus years of marriage, even 15 years of marriage, you know, they kept that covenant and they agreed upon something. And they made sure before they moved forward that certain agreement was the umbrella to the whole entire jail. If you have that umbrella, you good. No matter the rain, the storm, you good. Better make sure you got the not the cheap kind of umbrella though. So that's I wanted to bring that out, you know, because in the last song we had heard, it was about pressure, and a lot of people fold under pressure. A lot of people change and shift under pressure. I identify or I attach success from what you can do under pressure, or how you operate under pressure. So what's your thoughts on that, Chief? What's your thoughts on I know we just went over the last topic, but I feel like it's just so much more to unwind, you know, or unravel, I should say, with this topic.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, and this is the reason why I make that distinction earlier. Like when we're having these conversations about, you know, these popular tweeted situations, we always got to make that distinction between African American women and Hebrew women, because African American women, they operate from a completely different paradigm than Hebrew women operate from. So when you're talking to a Hebrew woman about order, when you're talking to them about, the idea of hierarchical issues, it's really not an issue. It's like, oh, okay, well, cool. And you're able to at least have that platform and move forward in it and figure out, you know, if it's doable, you know, and hence that's what the courtship issue is for. But when you're talking about African American women, I think a lot of the difficulty comes in is that, number one, you have to make numerous amounts of assumptions in order to make these scenarios work. The situation, going back to the issue with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I've even seen some Hebrews who were like really up in arms about that. Like, oh man, he's this. And it's like, again, you got to remember, Dwayne Wade is not operating from the paradigm in which we come from. He most likely, because I don't know his familial background or whatever, but he was most likely raised by his mother. And you got to remember, he's over 10 years. I think it's like he's 13 years.
He about my age.
Senior. Like she's 13 years older than him. So it's very difficult for I mean, think about that. She's old enough to be a young teenage mother to him. So it's not going to be the same situation where he's going to be telling her that he's the head, whatever. It doesn't matter how much more money he has than her. There's no way that she's going to allow that to go down. And again, that's the African American paradigm. Mm-hmm. So even if you out earn the woman, it still does not. The idea of her saying, "Well, he is my head," is not going to work. This is the reason. If you remember on the orders at the Breakfast Club, remember when Fantasia came on there, and she came on there, and she wasn't all crazy, whatever. She was just like, hey, my husband or my man, he's my head, he does this, and my job is to do X, Y, Z. And all three of them were looking at her as if she was insane. Mm-hmm. And especially Angela Yee, she's looking at the situation like, oh my God, you must be in a cult or something, because how does that work? Where he is the head and this, again, the African American paradigm, the idea doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate with our people. The idea that, hey, that there can be order in a household. And again, when we compared it to a corporation, no COO walks around a company bitter about the fact that they're second to the CEO.
Yeah.
That only happens in households. It doesn't happen at the job. No, I've never heard a woman stop her supervisor and say, excuse me, no, you're not my boss. You're not my supervisor. I'm my own boss, and then go dismiss him. No, she's going to say, yes, sir, I'll take care of what you need, whatever, like that. I'm going to go do whatever I got to do. Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. And they're going to go and take care of it.
And
so it's not that there's no order. It's just that that order is not transferable over to their private lives.
I don't understand that. I mean, you know what? I do understand it. I don't even know why I'm saying I don't understand it, but at the same time, I don't understand it. Like, granted, you know how you speaking of, at least with the Hebrew community, it's an understanding of, the head. We see that also outside, but it's more likely and more intricate in our community because we operate through the foundation of the Torah. Right. And we know that we understand the history, we understand the culture and the context. Even those that identify from the Berich HaChadashah or New Testament, they still understand it as well. Without a doubt, it's those that don't understand the context of the culture of the people within the literature that most societies and even ethnic groups go by. They're the ones that kind of don't understand, and it's wishy-washy. But I see it also in our community sometimes, so that's why I'm saying when you say what you're saying, I think it's levels. I believe it's levels. But that foundation, as you said, is there. But again, you know, and now I'm being personal when I say this. I'm being personal, so I'm not going to say this is on a wide scale or a large scale within our community and or outside. But I'm learning at my young age or old age, depending on who's watching, look at it, about to be 37 in July, that pressure is something else. Like, that is what really shows where you are. The consistency of how you operate under pressure. I'm not saying that, you know, you're not going to slip up, you know, you're not going to mess up, you're not going to fail or anything like that. But I'm talking about the consistent journey, the journey that you operate within, you know, the journey. And when multiple issues come up or scenarios come up within that journey that you're a part of or that you've been operating in, if every time something like that occurs and that pressure comes and you fold, which is what I see a lot.
Yeah.
Then to me, that's who you are. It's not to say you're bad or you're good, but that's who you are. And you got to start looking at why you're that way. So this whole thing about no leaders, which that does not make sense to me. Like Dwayne Wade saying that, and you are part of one of the largest organizations in the US, the NBA.
Right.
You should know what leadership is. Why is it different in a home? That does not make sense. I don't know if you was here when I was, if you had got kicked off when I said this part. The one thing alone that should determine or solidify that we are the leaders of the home is the fact that we got to be the first one to die if something happened. The first one to sacrifice ourselves to protect our family and the wife.
Wait. Are you saying that a man is not supposed to throw his wife and children in front of the bus and save himself? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, dang, come on.
No. I mean, right. Right.
It's like that right there out of everything. Now, granted, and I'm, you know how I am, Chief. And, you know, those that's listening or watch back, you know, they might be like, yeah, you know, Shema, that's right. Or Shema, whatever. But then when I say this part, they go like, man, dude, you're pulling back. You know, some might, but I want to touch bases on everything in regards to stuff that I say. And they might say, well, you know, the birth of the child, you're risking death. So that's me being a leader there, you know, because, you know, childbearing and having a baby, you know, you can risk that, but not in 2021 like that, though. You're talking about, you know, 700 BC, 600 BC type stuff where they didn't have the things to make sure. And even then, they didn't have the technology now to make sure that your risk of dying is very slim from a birth compared to then. But even then, that being the case, that their risk was greater, they still operated knowing and understanding who was the leader of the home. I haven't did no stats on this, but I will give my pinky finger and bet that the most successful marriages are homes where both man and woman understands that the man is the leader of the home. And not only that, but they operate within that understanding. Not just knowing, because you can hear women that say that, people that's probably watching this to say, well, I believe that that a man is a leader. So he can't be talking about me, but then they'll be single for life. So it's one thing to know, and it's another thing to operate within what you know.
Right. I mean, and we see that play out in all of these online platforms. I mean, we've seen it play out with a lot of Kevin Samuel callers. They'll call in and you see it actually that they know the information. The information is there. It's in their head.
Mm-hmm.
But we know very often, and this is across the board, that just because you have it in your head doesn't mean that you've absorbed it. It doesn't mean that you've become one with that information. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember back in '93, I knew I was an Israelite, but my conduct hadn't caught up yet. It hadn't caught up to what I knew. So and that's what you're seeing. A lot of they'll know this information. They'll say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I have no problem with that. Yes, yeah, he's my head, or he's my, my leader, whatever like that." Because it sounds good. It sounds progressive.
Yes, sir.
But when it's time to actually put that into motion, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, and that is that it's really not an issue, because I think oftentimes there's a comparison. What a lot of these women are trying to fight against patriarchy. What they're fighting against white patriarchy.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Fight it all you want. I'll even wave the flag for you. You know what I'm saying? Fight against it. But we're not talking about white patriarchy. White patriarchy was what? Was the woman shut their damn mouths, don't say nothing, get your ass in the kitchen, make my dinner.
Okay.
And that's it. And if I want to, you'll be my bed wench tonight. And that's it. And that's the patriarchy that white women have a problem. But that's not what we're talking about among Black people. Think about it. If a man, if you got a man saying, "Hey, listen, I think Father's Day is a good concept, whatever," then you get this band of women online that's like, "Oh my God, Father's Day, that's patriarchy." So it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So
yeah, that threw me off right there.
Right, you see what I'm saying, and so the issue, Black patriarchy is not the same as white patriarchy. Black patriarchy is simply saying, "Hey, I would like to kind of be, just a little bit of respect," and you're asking for very little, but the kickback, because the kickback is a lot, because many Black women believe that it's an all or nothing thing. That if I give in a little bit,
yes, sir,
I'll lose everything. And it's like first of all, it's really not that serious. Like most men, and when I say men, alpha and sigma males, they don't have a problem with the idea that there are things that women can do more efficiently than men.
That's right.
That's logical. So alpha and sigma males are not beating their heads against the wall if the woman is does she take care of the children better, or is she a better cook? They're not busting their heads about it. They're like, well, no, there's some things that, you clearly got it.
Hey, real quick, and for the listeners out there that's tuning in now and or tuning in later, yes, me and Chief are Hebrews, but we are speaking in a language that a lot of people are speaking today. We know that Alpha and Sigma is Greek.
Yeah. But the funny thing is,
y'all still say it that's Hebrew, so stop.
Yeah,
I just
what we'll do? Instead of Alpha and Sigma, we'll say Aleph and Samek males. How about that? And then they will be like, yeah. I mean, it's like,
we'll be starting something new, because ain't nobody. Well, I haven't heard anybody saying that. Alpha.
Yeah, I just freestyled that off the top of the head. So,
man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Aleph males and Samek males, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the concept that that men who understand their position as a man is not threatened by a woman who excels in certain areas. It's like, okay, yeah, you do your thing, no question. You go ahead and handle that. But I'm going to go over here and do this.
Okay.
So when you listen to some of these women that are on that Twitter post, and you listen to some of their arguments, you realize that these are straw man arguments. They're making arguments that actual men don't have issue with.
Mm-hmm.
The men that they're talking about are the very, and listen, I salute Kevin Samuels for saying this, because it's right and exact, is that the men that these women are complaining against are the very men that they raised. These are beta males. So your issue with the type of men that you have a problem with are the type of men that were raised by single mothers who didn't have the male, the male element for the child or whatever like that. So the very same men that they are castigating are the very same males that they are now raising for another generation. So, like he said, you can't, if a child in a single mother home, if a child excels, the mother takes credit for that and say, I am the reason why he was able to excel. But then if the child fails, she doesn't take responsibility for that failure. She'll say, oh, he failed because the father wasn't there. So it was like, so wait a minute.
Yeah.
When the father's not there, he gets, he gets all of the blame, but none of the accolades. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. If that's your platform, that's fine. But it has to be equal across the board. Being that we're talking about gender equality, well, if the single mother fails and that child ends up going to jail or getting into some nonsense, whatever, she's gonna have to say, "Yo, I failed as a single mother." You can't bring the man in. So I think that's what's really the issue, is that there has to be a balance in the, in these dialogues, on Twitter or whatever, instead of pushing this particular narrative. I think she's mad because she got involved with a dude, and let's keep it real. This is African American culture, so you know what it was. They were in the club. They probably in the club. They probably met up on some willy-nilly situation. They went back to the crib. They did their thing. She got pregnant, and she wants something more. And he's like, "Yo, I didn't sign up for that. This was just a one-night stand." What are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't want no parts of it. So now she's coming from a particular position in order to kind of make herself feel better about a situation. But if you have an issue with, Father's Day, and again, this is bringing this full circle again. If you have an issue with Father's Day and patriarchy or whatever the case, then you're entitled to that. But understand that there are other things that come along with it. If you don't want this, well, then you're going to have to accept it on your end as well.
That's right.
And that's really all it is.
Good points. Man, you said a whole lot that I think that a lot of us within the community, especially our women, and when I say community, I need to separate it as you did as well. Because my first focus is on the community, but it's also for the so-called Black community to understand, because I'm not, that's another topic, but I do want to see everybody, make it. And succeed, I should say, not make it, but succeed. And it's a thing that's happening outside and within as well. And if we could all figure out what it is, because I think even with what you brought out, as far as with the the failing part, I don't think, and maybe they do, but I don't think they understand, the importance in it. But before I say my piece on that, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next song, you all. The next song is Kodesh, and that's by YAH, featuring Maccabee, featuring Ethan. Let's go ahead and play it.
Yep.
Like Samuel, I hear y'all calling, but no Samsung, no jawbone, but flexing, no haters, like I'm Samsung. Real see the Jacob like Judah, no stepson. And if it ain't Torah, then you know it been stepped on. On the beat, I get my packs on, blasting off like the jet song. Breastplate of righteousness, so best believe I got my vest on. Yeah, we get our Kodesh on, we set apart from the rest on. All y'all say we'll do like Nike, we get our check on. Me and A-Tom about to get his beat. R.I.P. man, rest in peace. White chalk, yeah, the microphone, yeah, the booth, the tape, that's a crime scene. Maccabee do the eulogy, we y'all treasure, check your jewelry. Watch you living, nothing new to me. Better believe that it's true to me. Deuteronomy 13. 19. You can live with that foolery. Like Nehemiah with them hands, man, you would think that it's two of me. My people brutality is the world immunity. And more than ever, we need unity. Build up our communities. They see in the cruelty. Better charging the police. Worry about COVID-19, that's in the hands of Elohim. Better read, Deborah, 28, 58 through 60. Chapter 30 is the antidote. But we all know y'all real redeemed. People worry about the wrong pandemic. But I know y'all got his hands in it. This world for the lies and so wicked. I guess that's why I'm so different, ayy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. People looking at me strange, say I'm set apart and I don't care, yeah. Why? Cause I'm so different. See, you can do what you want, cause that is your mission. But I'm seeking a certain way to live life with more vision. And I can see clearly now the rain is gone. So I left my umbrella at my home. Call up my broom to see what is going on. We get up in the zone, shalom, le'olam. I need your head, the shiver, lehira, YAH, imotam, call her, yo, a timid beneath. Do you understand the words that are coming out my mouth? Probably don't, but you can go Google it and you will see what I'm talking about. I'm in love with the culture and not just the text and the power I serve created the mountain. So I do not stress when they get in my way. I just turn them to people to drive right around them. They taught me about JC, but I laid the founder. The one that I needed was y'all, so I grabbed them and held them tight like you hugging your granny. Man, they just don't understand it.
People worry about the wrong pandemic. But I know y'all got his hands in it. This world for the lies and so wicked. I guess that's why I'm so different, ayy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy, yeah.
Murray Mac got the fact though. Don't tolerate hate like lactose. Don't need recognition from the fact though. We sons of God, that's a fact, bro. Can you see it? Open your eyes, wait for the signs. Know when it's time. We've been the pride, but we on the rise. I got the zit on the garments. Body filled up with carbon. Y'all's waiting, no boy. Can I let you food? My people starve, yeah. Oppression to gold and we don't appreciate you. Who the ultimate healer? He gonna alleviate with strangers. I don't affiliate. I'm so different, Kodesh. I'm just doing what I know best. My mind troubled and my soul best, cause don't seem like enough, no yet. Complete to the mission completed. Plead for the mercy of YAH, cause we need it. We didn't know the past repeated. Believe in you will achieve. That we about to switch up the game. We make it sacred, but they make it fame. We make it clean, but they make it stain. This is the power you can't contain. Set apart with the flavor. Set apart with the favor. All praise to the maker. Yeah.
People worry about the wrong pandemic. But I know y'all got his hands in it. This world for the lies and so wicked. I guess that's why I'm so different, ayy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy. I'm so different, Kodesh. So different, Kodesh. I'm set apart and holy, yeah.
Yeah, that was Yehudi Gang. Kodesh.
People looking at me strange.
I'll play another song real quick.
Yeah. Why? Cause I'm
then
so
we're gonna come back. This is about Wild Star, Second Chances. This is Yehudi Gang. For all the Hebrews out there, the artists, make sure you send me your music so you get played on too. YAH Conscious Radio, well, if it's not conscious, it's not acceptable.
There's no second chances. Keep angels around you, 'cause these days there's no promises. I'm careful with my moves, 'cause nowadays there's no. Keep angels around you, 'cause these days there's no promises. I'm careful with my moves, 'cause nowadays there's no second chances.
Yeah, from the top down, I keep my point of view circle while making my rounds. Watching out for the killers lurking around town. Trigger fingers get itchy when they just spot brown. Look, they trying to take my life, they trying to take my peace. I pray I make it home, them niggas rolling deep. But I brush that though, my YAH I won't let go. You show me nothing but love and bless me with so much. That's why I hold it so dear. I'm praying, doing right by you, YAH, so let's just be clear. Don't care about no status or fame, just as long as you here. Take your life seriously, man, cause you know that they fear. Melanin, settling, felon and rock. Make a lens, take a Benz, open lens, free from shock. Take a hint, stated it, label it, pray for them not. Make a fist way to be created and awaken it, yeah. Woo. Y'all ain't hear me though.
I'm careful with my moves, nowadays there's no keep angels around you. These days there's no promises. I'm careful with my moves. There's no second chance.
We keep it like I'm on 30. I come through flash in a hurry, baby. Just keep it cool, take a breath, handle worries. I'ma take it from here, moving with no fear. Gotta keep my vision eyes open, baby. It's clear to see that all of the distance is between you and me. Gonna take us to something like in your fantasy. Take time to appreciate all the memories, baby. Cause you and me gon' have a good time. Shaking back Ricky Bobby on the finish line. Like put on a magic show, cause I'm feeling so divine. Everybody wanna know, everybody asking why. Like what is the trick? What is the secret to how you do this? Living your life full of splendor and bliss. All these blessings from the sky, give all praises to the Most High. You should
keep angels around you, cause these days there's no promises. I'm careful with my moves, cause nowadays there's no keep angels around you, cause these days there's no promises. I'm careful with my moves, cause nowadays there's no second chances.
Yeah.
There's no second chances.
That was Wild Star. You Hood Gang, Second Chances.
There's no second chances.
Yeah. I appreciate those of you that was tuning in, man. This was a great segment, in my opinion. It's gonna get nothing but better after this. Shout out to Chief Zebulon Belewi Hadekia. Great points. Great logical perception, I should say. This was a very interesting, some interesting posts, tweets. Man, we got to change our mind frame when it comes to this. I got one more song for you all and we done for the night. But in order to better ourselves, man, whether you are identify as being so-called black or whether you identify as being Hebrew, we got to understand community, man. We got to understand structure. And we got to understand that standard. That is the only way that we will succeed individually, whether you're not a part of a community and you have a husband or wife or trying to get one. That is the only way we will succeed if you're in the community. You know, a lot of us are removing ourselves or aloof, you know, some of the forefathers would say, from the community. And that's one of the main reasons you're failing. That's one of the main reasons you're failing as well. And then you're starting to get to a point where you don't want to be a part of it anymore. Why? Because you're failing. And you're failing because you're not a part of a community. That is the success. That's how people succeed. How can I make that relatable? You make it relatable by looking at every structure of organization that we can think of, from school, from jobs, careers, from sports to anything. That there is a standard. There are qualifications that need to be had or met. There is instructions within that organization that needs to be executed. And they thrive for years because of it. If you look at any marriages, I guarantee you this will be the antidote, the cure as to why we're failing. Now, there are exceptions to the rules where people are married for so long for multiple reasons. It could be for kids that they done had and they didn't want to move on. They waited till the kids left and then they got divorced. Or they just stayed because it's like, you know what? I'm older. I might as well not move along. So those are different topics. But I'm just speaking just from the core of success. And these two tweets or posts that I shared are not beneficial for any community, I should say, first and foremost. But definitely not not beneficial for our community, whether you are a Hebrew, or whether you are a so-called black person. It's not good or benefiting us at all. We got to rethink it. And we got to get back to our cultural understanding from our ancestors, whether you identify with the ancestors of old way in before first century, or whether you just want to say ancestors from a standpoint of your grandparents and things of that nature. They still did not operate like us. So with that, I yield. I'm going to play one more song, and I'm closing out. And this song is Glad I Found You. It is my song. For those that know me, I'm a singer-songwriter. And this song is really speaking on meeting who you're supposed to meet. And then this person that you meet, attaches herself to the journey that the Most High has put on the man who's the leader, heart for the success of that family. So that's just it to sum it up. Shalom to all of you, and I hope you enjoyed this song, and I hope you all subscribe, share, and like. Make sure you do that comment. Let me know your thoughts.
I'm so glad I found you. There's no other person out there like you. Been searching high and low, all around for you. In winds that has no end, in trenches closing in. Believe me, I'm so glad I found you. There's no other person out there like you. Been searching high and low, all around for you. In winds that have no end, in trenches closing in. I'm so glad I found.
I'm so glad that I found you. It was hard till we continue pumping, pounding like a heart, flowing down a lover's stream, connecting like the stars, floating like an eagle. Even when we sink, we glide. People often say this can't be real, but they haven't found someone special. You're the deal. I promise there's a glow. Never seen it into I ain't never seen it before. More into the world, no comparison, my fan.
I'm so glad that I found you. We continue to stand strong like a mountain, and I love it. We keep pouring like a fountain, roaring like a lion. King Kong, when they fly in, we swat them. They get in their feelings while I feel a feeling. Got them. Now they wanna just to take notes. Go ahead, jot them, cause we Adam and Teen, new Adam and Eve. But see, you would never deceive too much wiser.
I'm so glad I found the person out there. There ain't no one out there like you.
All around for you. In winds that has no end, in trenches closing in. There's no other person out there.
I wanna take it down, I wanna take it down.
All around for you.
Let me take it down, let me take it down. I'm gonna take it down, I wanna take it down. Let me take it down. You're the definition of loyalty. You held my position, unity. Your vibe is so soothing, you're my tea. Good energy, my chi. Yeah, you are it for me. You're the definition of loyalty. You held my position, unity. Your vibe is so soothing, you're my tea. Good energy, my chi. Yeah, you are it for me.
That was Glad I Found You by yours truly, Shamat Al-Miyahu, also known as Memorial Shamat Al-Miyahu. Appreciate all y'all, man. I look forward to next week. I will be popping up with certain videos sometimes. Speaking on posts I see, but the weekly show, the radio platform is on Thursday, Yom Hamishi. And I just want to make sure that you all subscribe, that you all share, and you like or dislike this video and all the videos to come, if there's any topics that you all want us to talk about, make sure you send it to YAH Conscience Radio at gmail.com, and we could go ahead and go look at it that way and bring it out, or find me on Facebook, Morris Shemai. Shalom, shalom.